No way! Okay, that was cold. I'll take that one.
Hey everyone, it's good to see you again. Today we are talking about one of the new Hunter Strand exotics. This is the... Yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the first part of its name. We're going to call this the Facade. And honestly, I was pretty worried about this exotic. And to a degree, I still am. What it does is it gives you Woven Mail when you activate Grapple at the start of the activation of the Grapple. Pretty strong. It also gives you increased flinch resistance. I hate flinch, so love this, when Woven Mail is active. Now, before we get into the details, if you haven't seen my Twitch channel already, I'd really appreciate if you can check that out. It's twitch.tv/Drewskys. So this exotic, I really can't tell if this is as broken as I thought it was going to be or not. Conceptually, I want to say if it somehow isn't in this current sandbox overpowered, I'd think that it has very high chances of doing so or being overpowered in the future. I don't know. I just don't know if I can agree with the design. So, for reference, Woven Mail is, give or take, roughly a 25% damage reduction. But it's only on body damage. So, just hit the head. But really, it is just body shot damage reduction, so that does temper it a good amount, I want to say. However, my problem conceptually with this exotic is that grappling, and especially having used it in the game now, is a really fast moving escape route or way to aggress on someone. Now, getting tankier essentially, or harder to kill while initiating a very high mobility evasive movement, I feel like you shouldn't have both of those things. Like, I feel like when you're really evasive and high mobility, you probably shouldn't be tanky as well. When you're really tanky, you probably shouldn't be really evasive, because you're already hard to hit when you're being evasive and high movement or high mobility. So you shouldn't be any harder to kill because you already are harder to kill from that. And then on top of it, if you do land your shots, they're going to do less damage. So by principle of that, I don't think I can agree with the design of this exotic, and I don't love it because of that. Now, in practice and actually using it in the game, was it that strong? I don't know. I definitely noticed times, I think, where I would grapple out of a scenario and I may have lived simply because I had that DR before the grapple really started ramping up the momentum and I was able to get out. And there was times where I was able to kind of swing in and then go for a suspend, and I'd have that kind of damage resistance. So if I suspended the person I was trying to aggress on with the grapple effectively, they weren't really easily able to kill me, right? So I definitely noticed it in that way in my gameplay, but there were other times, I want to say, in standard gunfights or engagements where I couldn't really tell if it was impactful or not. I think that's a lot of because when you're using an exotic like this or something that gives you DR, I think sometimes there's a little bit of a bias that happens when you're the user of this, and I didn't go against this enough to really notice a difference. I think that when you're using something like this and you have DR and you're in gunfights that you win, it's hard to notice that you won it because of the damage resistance, simply because I don't know, for me in my mind, when I'm just in heat of the moment, I'm like, yeah, I won that gunfight, cool, moving on to the next thing. I'm not really particularly noticing why I won, where it's hard to tell if they were hitting headshots or not and how that was impacting the gunfight. So it's hard to tell. It's very early in that way for me, so I'll have to really actually go against this to see how strong it is in standard gunfights, because hypothetically, let's say in trials where you really want to break mid on some maps, you're just going to want to grapple in, beat your opponent to mid, which I actually did this a couple times against some players that I regard as the best in the game. It was on Eternity. I beat them from, I believe, I don't know what to call this, the balls spawn, all the way to that main platform where people fight. I beat them there with the grapple, and I was tankier, so I was able to just go cause chaos, suspend, shotgun, tank shotguns, and it was really, really strong. So again, I don't know how much, I feel like conceptually that's how you're gonna want to use this in something like Trials, and that's where it could be like, whoa, that's like really strong. But again, I'll have to go against it more to really see how strong it is. Conceptually though, I think it's absurd. That's essentially my first impressions and experience from using it in gameplay. I tried to do some testing though to actually understand what it's actually doing, what Woven Mail and that 25% damage resistance is actually doing by trying to simulate some scenarios where it would come up. So in testing, I took a look at 3 main weapon types. We looked at the aggressive SMGs, the Aikilos SMG, very popular, 140 RPM hand cannons, and then high impact pulses. I think these are the 3 most influential weapons in the metagame that you're probably going to go against most. So I wanted to test against those. And to start my tests, I was at 4 resilience. Starting with the aggressive SMGs, so the Aikilos SMG. For reference, against 4 resilience, this has an optimal time to kill of 9 critical hits. The more average or more imperfect time to kill, that's with 6 crit for body, it'll get a 10 shot time to kill, and that is in 0.77 seconds. Now we can add Woven Mail onto that. To achieve that same 10 shot kill, we'll have to now hit 8 crit to body. However, if we go again for a more imperfect scenario, if you only hit 6 crits, it becomes 6 crits, 6 body, and that's a 12 shot kill. It's going to be roughly 0.92 time to kill at that 6 crit, 6 body. So that's not bad. That actually makes the time to kill of the SMGs a little slower. You know, you'll still have to, it's more in line with something like the 3-tap of the hand cannons, which combined with playing cover decently could actually be a problem for SMGs. Speaking of hand cannons, looking at the hand cannons now, of course, this isn't going to do anything against the 3-tap of a hand cannon. If they don't hit that 3-tap, then they're going to have to hit at least a 1 crit 3 body for the next kill step, and that's a 1.3 second time to kill at that point. If you have Woven Mail though, that actually becomes a 5 shot kill. You actually miss that 4 shot if you only hit 1 crit, and it becomes a 5 shot with 1 crit 4 body, and that's a 1.73 time to kill. However, you can mitigate that just by hitting 2 crits. So the value in this, I'm not sure how valuable it actually is, again, because I want to say most hand cannon players, if they miss the 3-tap, it's usually because they missed 1 of the 3 shots, not 2 of the 3 shots. Against the high impact pulses, I don't think this was terribly influential either. The average time to kill of those high impact pulses against 4 resilience is 3 crit 4 body. That's for a 1.07. With Woven Mail, it turns into a 4 crit 3 body for that same 7 shot 1.07. If you only hit, so if you don't hit that 4 crit, if you only hit 3 crits, it becomes relatively punishing. It becomes a 3 crit 6 body. It's a 9 shot kill in 1.2 seconds. So against shotguns, this will tank both a precision and aggressive shotgun shot to the body. I wasn't able to reliably test this if you hit a little bit of precision damage, but if you're using full choke, which I believe removes that, you aren't gonna one-shot with your shotgun. And that's pretty crazy. I mean, you can melee to follow up and at least take a trade or get the kill that way. You're not gonna be invincible against a shotgun melee, but nonetheless, if you do, like I said, the combo of, let's say, grapple into a suspend to hold them in place and they try and shotgun you, odds are you're living through that and you're gonna get the kill. So this seems like it could be really, really strong in that way. It was also worth mentioning that it was able to survive a double body shot from adaptive snipers. The last aspect of this exotic is the increased flinch resistance. So maybe if you're not convinced that Woven Mail will have an impact in your standard primary gunfight so much, perhaps this is what you're looking for. And honestly, to me, this began to feel like more of the value in those standard primary gunfights. The flinch resistance to me was pretty good. I think it looked like, from my testing, I want to say somewhere around the equivalent of 1 or 2 unflinching mods. It's really difficult to test flinch and see how useful flinch reductions are, but I tried with 3 different weapons. I tried with a sniper to see the most probably drastic flinch. We tried with a higher zoom weapon, which was the BXR-55, for a clear view of the flinch on a high zoom weapon. And then I tried it on a lower zoom weapon, being the Ace of Spades for a standard hand cannon. I tried each of these once without any flinch, once with only woven mail and the unflinching from the facade, and then once with everything, triple unflinching with the facade if you want to go all in on that. Like I said, I think that the facade seems to provide what seems like the equivalent to 1, a little bit more than 1. It looks like 2, I want to say, unflinching mods roughly to give some sort of a measurement. And when I had everything active, the 3 unflinchings with the woven mail facade unflinching, it was like, I feel like my crosshairs were barely moving. They were kind of just like floating around, you know, hovering almost. Those jagged, weird, jarring movements even of the crosshairs normally that flinch would produce were a lot more smooth, just kind of just like hovering there on the target. It was weird, but if you hate flinch as much as I do, this might be a reason to use this. Anyways, that's all I got to say about the facade. I'd love to know what you guys think about the strength of this exotic. Is it too strong? Do you think it might be a problem in the future? Or is it just okay right now in the sandbox and you think that it's not influential enough to be a problem? I'd love to know. Anyways, thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.